extraordinary. Not a day goes by that I am not humbled by our extraordinary Cincinnati Pops fans right here at home. There's not a group of more ardent music lovers anywhere on earth.
From WLWT, this is Let's Talk Cincy, presented by Western and Southern Financial Group. Put our financial strength behind you.
The great Stevie Wonder said music is a world within itself with a language we can all understand. That is why the Cincinnati Pops has excited audiences all around the world for nearly a half century. Hello everyone, I'm Curtis Fuller and welcome to Let's Talk Cincy. A summer tradition returns now that COVID-19 restrictions have eased up. The Pops back at Riverbend after this pandemic forced the orchestra to move last year's popular Red, White, and Boom concert online. Today, talking with the acclaimed maestro of the Cincinnati Pops, John Morris Russell.
Well, the Pops 4th of July at Riverbend is one of Cincinnati's great summer traditions. And of course, last summer, it was not happening. And now the Pops is back. And so I kind of think of Independence Day, thinking that we, traditionally celebrate our 4th of July Independence Day, but it's also another Independence Day, as we've worked our way through the pandemic and as we open things up again and as we reinvent our community and our country. This is a real exciting time to celebrate together with great music.
How difficult has it been this past year? I know all of us have struggled during this pandemic, but what has it been like?
It's been a challenge, but I think the great thing about our orchestra is that we have a lot of very creative thinkers, and we also have an extraordinarily supportive board and arts community. And it took us a few months to figure out what can we do? How can we best bring music into the lives of people that have been, so incredibly disrupted? And so by using video and the internet and new production techniques, we were able to put on, a couple dozen concerts streaming from Music Hall into people's lives, not only here in Cincinnati, but all around the world. It was a very exciting time for us to bring music to people in a new and different way. That doesn't mean that we're not absolutely thrilled to be back. Our July 4th concert is going to be the first time our full orchestra will be on stage, shoulder to shoulder, since our King Record salute, the Cincinnati Sound, in the middle of March, right here in Music Hall in March of 2020.
Tell me a little bit about the concert. I know it's focused on, obviously, Independence Day, and the music will center around that, but tell me a little bit about it.
Well, whenever I think of a July 4th concert, it's all about American music. I cannot think of anything more patriotic than jazz, or Broadway, or bluegrass, or funk. I mean, this is our music, right? It's democracy in sound. It's people from all over the world bringing their musical culture together to create that unique expression. So we'll have everything from James Brown to the Annie Moses Band, fantastic bluegrass Americana ensemble. Chris Kinney from Cincinnati Opera is going to be singing music from Broadway. And of course, we have all the great patriotic classics, everything from America the Beautiful, Battle Hymn of the Republic, God Bless America, and of course, the Stars and Stripes Forever and Fireworks Afterwards. This is music that I absolutely adore, and a time that we get to share the eloquence of our American musical ethos with our entire community.
Like many people, you realize how much the arts, how much music has meant, live music. The fact that we haven't had it the past year for many people. how important it is for people to gather and hear it live. Huh?
That's so important. And you know, when we changed to streaming concerts, it was very cool. You know, we had cameras, and you know, we were taking alternate takes and doing, you know, creating all of the. You're a TV guy, right? You know, we're creating all of these really cool shots. But after about 2 or 3 months of doing these things, and well, seeing these beautiful productions that we'd see on the internet, streamed worldwide, we began to miss something, and that we didn't really realize, all of us. You know, I mean, we enjoyed, of course, the process of making music, all of us together on stage, even though we were very, very distant. But we so much missed that sense of communication. And when we started bringing in even small audiences here to Music Hall of 150 people, there was a certain electricity that came back. And I believe that for all of us, that the pandemic brought us a much, much deeper appreciation of what we do, of connecting people, about bringing beauty and hope and empathy through music, and sharing this through the live experience.
Up next, the genesis of the Pops and the orchestra's global appeal when Let's Talk Cincy continues. The Cincinnati Pops was founded back in 1977 with the late Eric Kunzel leading this orchestra. Oh, now, over the years, the Pops has sold millions of recordings around the world. Some of the artists who have performed with the Pops include Ella Fitzgerald, Aretha Franklin, Peter Frampton, Rosemary Clooney, Henry Mancini, Dave Brubeck, and Smokey Robinson.
It is extraordinary. Not a day goes by that I am not humbled by our extraordinary Cincinnati Pops fans right here at home. There's not a group of more ardent music lovers anywhere on earth. And for all of our concerts, our live experiences, our streaming concerts, the response from people has always been overwhelming. But you are right in that a lot of people who are here have no idea what it's like outside of Cincinnati, around the country, around the world. I remember we were on tour with the symphony in Munich, Germany, and we were at the Hofbrauhaus with a bunch of brass players who were having some root beer there. And the Oompa band is playing, and they're taking a break, and we go up and say hi and say, "You guys sound fantastic." And you know, they instantly recognized that we were American. They asked where we were from, and we said, "Oh, we're from Cincinnati." And everyone in the band just stopped dead in their tracks, and they said, "Cincinnati Pops #1." in Shanghai, for when we were on concert tour with the Pops a couple years ago, I spent more time in line signing CDs from the Cincinnati Pops than we did in the concert, because every person wanted to tell us how much the music of the Cincinnati Pops meant to them. We are worldwide ambassadors of great music making and American music making. And it's something that we absolutely treasure and honor.
There was a time when music was in every school, every child played an instrument. You and I were talking about the discipline, and the example that you used, I think, brings it home.
There are a handful of schools in Cincinnati that have exemplary music programs, but not every school does. And I think it is imperative that music education be part of every kid's education. So often people think of music as being, or the arts as being an add-on. You know, it's the icing on the cake. And it's not that we really want to create musical performers or dancers or artists out of every single kid in school. No. we need kids in all sorts of professions. But the discipline, the empathy, the skills that are learned in music making and the arts can be applied to anything. I mean, take for instance, state of Ohio. To get an A, you have to get 91% in any subject. Algebra, geography, if you take that test, you get 9% of the things, of your answers wrong, you're still gonna get an A. If you went into your band room and each kid played 9% of the notes wrong, you would have absolute cacophony. Music teaches us that we walk into that band room at 100%, and we take that experience and we take it further than 100%. I mean, think of baseball. If you're batting 500, you're in the Hall of Fame. If you're batting 500 in the band room, you're out of there, right? And it's not just to create great musicians. The thing is that when you're going into surgery, I want my doctor to know the value of 100%. When we have the new engineers who are going to create the new Brent Spence Bridge, I want those engineers to know the value of 100%. I want our politicians to know the value of 100% commitment and of empathy. Music and the arts teach us to be better human beings.
Cincinnati Pop's maestro John Morris Russell is a Cleveland native who started his career as a school music teacher. As you will hear, his love of music includes all genres, from classical to jazz, from R&B to rock and roll. He keeps a pretty busy schedule, too. He's also principal conductor of the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra and music director of the Hilton Head Symphony.
My whole music experience came from 4th grade. Janet Blakely, there at Ludlow Elementary School, who went up and down the rows of kids in the classroom, and she said, "And what instrument will you play?" And everyone in our elementary school, either you played in the orchestra or you were singing in chorus. Everyone. And growing up in this environment where that was just like, oh, this is what school is about. We did concerts, 3 or 4 times a year. That deeply affected me. About how you go forward in your life. That you can gather together with people and make something extraordinary that's so much greater than the summation of its parts. And when I finished my college degree, I really felt this pull to be involved in music, but in teaching. And so I started out as a substitute teacher. And got a break where the band director of Shaker Heights High School retired early and gave me this extraordinary music program where I taught for the better part of a year. Everything from the marching band, the jazz ensemble, the orchestra, the pep band, the spring musical production. And from there, got a job with youth orchestras in Oberlin and Akron and Mansfield. And working with kids making music has been one of the most joyous experiences of my life. I feel so fortunate that I was able to transfer my experience from working with youth orchestras to becoming an assistant conductor and then the associate conductor right here in Cincinnati, and working with Eric Kunzel. And in fact, Curtis, I don't know if you'll remember this, but one of my very first gigs here with the Cincinnati Symphony, I invited you to narrate Peter and the Wolf. That was pretty fantastic.
It was fantastic, and I do remember it. I was nervous as heck, and I said, maybe one of these days I'll get another chance at it. But it was a lot of fun, and you know, people should remember, I mean, that's when Music Hall had over 3,000 seats, and it was packed with school children.
And the energy of the room when something like that is always amazing, right? And you kind of learn early on, it's kind of sink or swim as a conductor of family concerts.
Or a narrator.
Of conducting education concerts or young people's concerts. I found that if you take the energy of that room, you take it in and you give it right back. And I love doing education concerts because there's so much energy, there's so much potential in that room. And if you direct it in the right way, the results can just be flabbergasting. Of course, for 10 years, as the associate conductor of the Cincinnati Symphony and the Pops, I did all the education concerts, all the family concerts, all those runouts, and really connected me to the Cincinnati community. And I wasn't really thinking that I was planting any seeds. Well, I knew that I wanted to spread the word of great music. And when I left to go on to the next portion of my career in Canada, said fond farewell to Cincinnati, but didn't really think about coming back. And then when I was invited back as conductor of the Pops, and filling in these huge shoes of Eric Kunzel, what I had found was those 10 years that I was here as associate conductor, we had created a connection with 2 generations of Cincinnatians who grew up with my concerts as kids, and were now my Pops people. And that has been an amazing journey to see all of those concepts and seeds and that love of music that we were able to plant, to see them come to full fruition right now. It was like my high school experience, right? Growing up in Cleveland. I played in everything. There's, jazz band and orchestra and the pit orchestra. We had a garage band. We played a lot of Commodores in Chicago and and Earth, Wind and Fire, right? But you know what? We were also sneaking into Cleveland Orchestra concerts after intermission when we could spy an empty seat or two. And Duke Ellington once said, "If it sounds good, it is good." And that has always been my mantra, that music comes in all sorts of different styles, a world of styles, and there's something special in every genre, in every style of music. And I think I'm really blessed to be working with the Pops, because we get to jump in and perform all of these different varieties of music, this great diversity of musical expression, clothed in great orchestral colors with some of the greatest musicians in the world.
What do you remember best? Who was your favorite artist you performed with?
So many greats, Gregory Peck, Common.
And that was just a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's
Common.
right.
Yeah.
But if I was to say, if there was just going to be one, Curtis Fuller.
Next, music that's an American original when Let's Talk Cincy continues. Finally, an example of the creative work of John Morris Russell and the Cincinnati Pops is the American Originals Project. One recording is a tribute to the dawn of the jazz age. It was nominated for a Grammy in 2020.
We think of the Ohio River, this incredible superhighway of industry, of thought, of the American experience. The barges that brought down coal to stoke the Industrial Revolution here also brought mountain music, music of Celtic traditions that settled in the Ohio Valley. The river also, brought consumer goods and such from New Orleans, from the Deep South, that also brought the music of Black America, of folk traditions. We found that the river was also a gateway to freedom for thousands upon thousands of enslaved people seeking refuge in Canada. And the music of the spiritual that came here and settled into this valley. And so we have all of these musical styles that came here and developed into the blues and jazz and bluegrass and rock and roll and funk. And we found that the early composers here of the early 1800s who started to put this music together and created some of the very first pages of the American Songbook. And then a couple generations later, with King Records, we hear all of this music coming to a whole nother level of sophistication. A lot of the composers and performers of this music, people have never heard their names, but they made an incredible contribution to our musical ethos that kind of defines what American music is all about. So over the past several years, we've had a musical project called American Originals, where we wanted to celebrate those composers, those musical styles that have been kind of overlooked. It was awesome to be recognized by the Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences to get a Grammy nomination, not just for the brilliant music making of our pops and our fantastic guest artists, but also for the story we were telling.
Well, that does it for the program today. I'm Curtis Fuller. We'll see you next week for another edition of Let's Talk Cincy.